Hi everyone, let's do some restorative yoga. As you can see, I'm lying on a bolster, but you don't have to have what is considered a standard yoga bolster. I do all of this stuff in bed with a couple of pillows usually. Now, if you have more than two, then you can get really creative, but otherwise a bolster is, it's optional. I'm using the bolster to do a side lying position first. So I'd like to set the bolster up so it's somewhere at or at the top or above where the hip bone is. So just feel that. And then as I drape myself over, I don't really want to catch the armpit unless I absolutely have to for some reason, meaning, I got a short torso, or the equipment that you're using is too long, or that there's some sort of pain going at the top of the body. So right now my left side of my body is on the bolster, the right side is getting a bit of a stretch, and you can use a separate pillow or not, depending on how your neck is doing. So don't be afraid to use a pillow at first and then take it out over time, especially if you don't do things like this very often. And so we'll start with the knees tucked in. And if you're getting a really intense stretch right off the bat in the right side, anywhere, but particularly in your neck, please put a pillow there or something to build yourself a little bit higher off the ground, because you don't want to start intense. And typically restorative isn't asking you to get intense. The idea is to take you out of that mode, because most of us are there for the majority of the day. So the idea is to find a place where you can feel subtleties in the musculature and the connective tissue and so on and so forth. And that you're not going for the grosser, more obvious sensations. So I don't really feel much, but I can tell there's a stretch. It's very small, and that's exactly where I want it. And then the top leg, which for me and you, if you're doing the same thing, is the right leg. You can stretch that out long so it extends the length of the spine. So there's a relatively straight line between your right ankle, your right hip bone, your right shoulder, and possibly the right ear. Now you're welcome to tuck the chin in towards the chest here and see if there's a stretch in the back and side of the neck, closer to where the upper traps are. Sometimes I'll tell people to kiss the bolster. You can do that figuratively if you like. And you'll notice that the right shoulder tends to sort of roll with most people, especially if you have rounded shoulders like I do. And you can just go back and forth, creating a really brief sequence, inhaling as the body opens up slightly, exhaling as you kiss the bolster. I'm not even touching it with my mouth, so please don't feel like you must make sweet kissing contact with your bolster. The right arm now can gently slide up the side of the body, almost like you're tickling yourself, kind of like the Dirty Dancing scene there. And then you could, depending on your shoulder health, either grab the elbow, which is going to pull a little bit more because you're bending and getting more tug out of the side body, or you could keep the arm straight. And depending, again, this is really important because my shoulder won't do this every day, so it's okay if yours doesn't do it. You can link your left thumb and one of your fingers around your right wrist and do a gentle tug. So you're not necessarily yanking, you're just straightening out the left arm, and you happen to have your right wrist loosely clasped. Please don't continue if you're clicking or popping in the shoulder joint. And then my invitation to you is to now take it into total stillness. You could straighten both legs out, but that often puts more effort into it. So what I do is I straighten my bottom leg out a little bit. And I'll find a nice happy medium, and I'll pause here for a good couple of minutes. So that's what we'll do together. Using the breath through the nostrils, if they'll allow it. And every now and again, you could coax a sigh out of your mouth. But otherwise, just become really interested in the flow of the breath, particularly along the right side of your body, where you could feel the rise and fall of the rib cage and the flesh between the bottom rib and the top of your hip. You can feel the space behind the navel pushing forward and out. Let your legs relax now. If one was straight and stiff, allow them just to relax in a normal bent position wherever they fall naturally. You can pause the video for a longer stay here. Otherwise, we'll start to tuck the knees up towards the bolster and draw the head in the same direction, using the bolster for a headrest as the left arm pushes you up, keeping your head and your hair, if you have any, flowing over your face. And when you come upright, you may prompt some neck rolls. We're going to take a symmetrical position before we go to the other side. So if the low back has a tendency to be overly arched, or you have chronic issues there, push yourself down more so you have mainly the top of the chest, perhaps even just where the collarbones are. And a nice position, the arms can reach over to start. Your head can turn to one side, and in fact, I would invite you to turn it to your left in this instance. And then as you do this, reach your right arm slowly, let it drag across the floor, the hand, and reach it so it now comes alongside you. Let the palm face up towards the sky. Thumb is facing in, maybe even touching the body. And then it's your choice. Let the head really relax before you make this decision, because it will make a difference. So if you're not totally relaxed, looking to the left, allow that to happen, barring any sharp sensations, right? If you have sharp sensations here, go back to neutral. Then you can start taking the hand, perhaps. Remember, you've got to take this slowly so you can explore. That way the intensity doesn't become really big, really fast. You could take the back of your right hand to the sacrum. Now the sacrum is actually kind of where you might feel your bum is, or where it starts. And from there, this could be plenty. Let the right shoulder relax. It might even hang off of the bolster, depending on how long your neck is and how wide the shoulders are. And if you're able to breathe easy and nothing feels risky, you could start to move the back of the hand closer to the small of the back. I wouldn't go much further than that, even if you can get higher. We're trying to find the Goldilocks position. We're trying to avoid the tendency to seek extremes. And then from here, try to relax the fingers if they're extended. Give yourself 5 cycles of breath. When you're ready to come up, start sliding the hands so they come close to the chest, to the mid-ribs perhaps. Do not lift your head. You do not need to lift your head and unravel all of the undoing that you're trying to accomplish here. So let the head or chin or whatever drag back on the bolster. Push to a brief child's pose, even if you don't go all the way back. And then when you're ready, we'll take side 2. Side 2. If you're following with me, on the right side, find the top of your hip bone and try to see if you can let the armpit hang free. Explore the neck. The range of motion may be different on both sides. The idea is to take each side as it comes and not to force a position just to match the other side. The knees start tucked in. Give yourself some time. Give yourself a few cycles of breath. Closing the eyes is advised in the restorative practice, but if you can't close them for any reason, see if you can create just a little sliver of an opening. Allowing the left leg to stretch out either some or all of the way. So there's this semblance of a straight line between left ankle, hip, shoulder, and ear. And then we'll start that little rolling where the chin or the nose comes down in towards the chest and maybe even the bolster. And then next time you inhale, you just roll back to your side, maybe even slightly towards the back ribs. Hello. And as you exhale, we'll come in. And since you're familiar with this, I will just let you explore it with no vocal cueing here. We'll just chill out together. How about one more cycle? And then come to a neutral position. Slowly draw the fingers up the side body to the shoulder, your ear, and potentially all the way out. I just smacked my microphone. If you would like to take the hands by the elbow, just remember that this might not be sustainable the whole time, so just chill out if you need a straight arm. If you can make a loose clasp of your right thumb and any finger, I do my thumb and my ring finger, but it's up to you. And then just allowing the left arm and shoulder to be as passive as possible. You're using the right arm entirely. You're just straightening and bending the right arm. Don't think of the goal as pulling the left arm. Just think of the goal as, well, I've got a loose clasp here. I actually had to switch to my thumb and middle finger on that because it gave me a better grip without working so hard. So that might help you. But just think of it as straightening and bending the right arm. That's all it is. If you have to have a goal in mind, then that's all you're doing. The left arm is just the slave to the master right arm. And after you've done this a few times, you'll find a nice, comfortable spot in this position where it's time to be still. You can let your knees tuck in a little bit or just relax. And we'll be here a couple minutes. I will be silent. You will breathe through your nose. You'll explore the expansion of the left side ribs and the soft tissue between the base of your ribs, the top of your hips, both front, side, and back. Feel free to pause if you need more time. We'll eventually roll downward, again keeping the head down, and we'll find this last position here. Again, you might be hooking the top of your chest. A lot of this is going to be based on your body structure, what body parts you have and don't have, and just where you are hormonally. So you can start with the arms here. We're going to do a neutral head to start, and then eventually the head turns towards the right. The left hand will drag slowly back behind you, and when it reaches its destination, your arm will be parallel to your body, palms up, thumbs in. And just allow your head to fully relax, and you want it to feel like a bowling ball imprinting your pillows or bolsters. So you may need a few more cycles of breath. Eventually, the back of the left palm might make its way to the sacrum or to the top or middle of your bum. Any sharp or piercing or burning sensations in the front or any part of the shoulder are not to be exacerbated. So take the hand away and just relax. Allow the top of the left shoulder to either sort of press into the bolster, or maybe it slides off a little bit. And if it feels good, if it feels like medicine to you, you can move the hand more to the small of the back and just keep it there. Keep the dial at about 7. No need to bring it higher. I can go higher, but I want to be in a place where I don't have to effort, where the breath is easy, where I don't have to ignore a slightly discomforting sensation. I want to feel comfortable, but I want, again, the subtle sense of opening or pulling, not the intense sensation-driven positioning of my body. If you find yourself being sort of a sensation junkie, where you're always looking to feel the most that you can feel, then a restorative practice can be really good for turning down that sense of achievement that we unfortunately bring into parts of our lives where it doesn't naturally belong a lot of the time. Like putting our bodies in certain positions, or being the super best, most perfect mom or employee or spouse or sister or yoga teacher or musician or whatever it is. Just enjoy the process and the moments that seem to be little or mundane. They're all important, and they all have something attached to them that you can enjoy and appreciate. All right, we'll come out of this. Let the head drag back. Find a child's pose, or just kneel up. And then from here, you might want to take a nice forward bending position, or just something where you're able to round a little bit, close in the front of the body and open in the back of the body to counter the side and front opening that we just did. So the last pose I'll offer to you here is I'm kneeling, but if your knees don't bend this way, just take your knees back. No big deal. And your hips will be higher and you can wiggle your butt. In any case, the elbows, forearms, or hands can all come on here. And just let your head relax so your nose can hang off the end of your bolster or pillow so you can breathe properly. And then this is where I will leave you guys either to do your own time, finish, or go to sleep. So I hope to see you again in Restorative Yoga Land.